Ladies and gentlemen, I am the 85th Arbitrary. It's been a while since I did one of these arbitrary lines. Um, I've been looking over them during my absence, and I figured, like, okay, so originally the idea was I was going to draw about one thing and then talk about something different. Yet something I talk about or something I drew about would eventually match up in another episode. The whole format seems, looking at it, it sounded cool in my head, but the whole format just seems stupid to me. So for the most part, I'm gonna talk about something related to what I'm drawing. Somewhat, I don't know. I'm gonna try to find some kind of connection to it or something. I don't know. First off, if you hear the wind, my window's open. If you hear some creaking sound, I'm sitting on a stool that creaks a lot. And if you hear anything else, then it's probably you. Let's see. For some of the remaining arbitrary lines, I'm gonna continue on with the format just so I can fit it all together, like get all the topics that I drew about and or talked about. So that leaves me about 2 or 3 more things to draw, and maybe a couple of things to talk about. But let's get to the nitty gritty because the whole reason I was talking about what I'm going to do for arbitrary lines is kind of a filler. What I'm talking about today probably won't take a long time, and I'm trying to fill up at least 5 minutes worth. So, all right. If you've seen my channel, and there's no reason for you to at this point, I'm still got nothing but anything. But if you've seen my channel, you would know that I love video games. Okay, there are 2 things I like about video games. There's a gajillion things I like about video games, but 2 things I like about video games. One, I like playing RPGs. 2, I like playing things related to Sega. That being said, I am a fan of the Phantasy Star game, and that's what I want to talk about. The first Phantasy Star the first Phantasy Star game for the Sega Master System. Because I got so much to say about it. Now, I'm going to be very careful. I don't want to drop any spoilers. But there is something about that game that ticks me off. Like I said, I'm going to try my best not to drop any spoilers. Towards the later half of the game, you're going through some dungeons, and at the end of the dungeons, you're looking for legendary weapons. You get like a legendary sword, a legendary shield, a legendary armor, and I believe a legendary axe, right? Let's talk about the sword and the axe. That's my main gripe. You get these legendary weapons after climbing these difficult towers or dungeons. It's really long. It's really long to get it, right? And then when you get to the final 2 bosses, neither the sword or the axe that you bust your butt and spend so much time to get do anything against them. Half the times they'll miss, and the other times they won't do much damage. Like, it's better to use guns and magic instead of the legendary weapons that you bust your butt for such a long time to get. I'm like, okay, why? Why? I mean, I wasted all this time. I'm constantly repeating myself, but that's how much it irritates the crap out of me. And in fairness, I've never beaten a Phantasy Star 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's what I'm talking about now. I have never beaten one of the 4 Phantasy Stars, except for Phantasy Star 3, but it has 4 endings. So until I get all 4 endings, I wouldn't consider beating it as beating it. I'll beat it when I get all 4 endings. So, but I know enough about the story to know that they actually continue off of each other. And I thought that was fantastic because before Phantasy Star, I played Final Fantasy. And don't get me wrong, Final Fantasy is a fantastic series. I love every Final Fantasy I've played so far. I have 3 for the DS, but I never played it yet. I have 4 for the DS, and it's kicking my butt. I have 2 for the for the PSP. Oh my gosh, Final Fantasy 2 sucks, but I still enjoy it, and I'm still glad I have it. But anyway, why Phantasy Star? Oh, I'm sorry. I brought up Final Fantasy because where Phantasy Star actually continues off of each other, Phantasy Star 1 continues off of 2, continues for 4, and then I think 3 takes place after 4, but I could be wrong about that. Final Fantasy doesn't. It's just a bunch of games in a series, Final Fantasy 1 through 15, which, by the way, 15 sucks. I'll eventually one day muster up the strength to play through it, but So far, it's just like one big old road trip, taking pictures and the like, and cooking food. And come on, where's the fantasy? Where's the adventure? You fight giant scorpions. That's kind of cool, but come on. There's got to be more to it. Maybe I should just play the game a little more. But it kind of bugged me that, there's Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, blah, 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 and they don't continue off of each other. That's why when I realized Phantasy Star continued off of each other, it was a breath of fresh air. Because I was under the assumption that all RPGs follow the same format as Final Fantasy, where you get Final Fantasy, you get like multiple parts of an RPG, and they don't continue off of each other. That's what I thought. Because I don't really play, as much as I love RPGs, I don't play too many of them. And if I do, I don't really beat too many of them. Mostly because I don't have a good attention span, and I often go back to Minecraft. I like Minecraft. Sue me. But Phantasy Star is a great series with a great story. But I hate the fact that in the first Phantasy Star, you bust your butt at the end of the game to get these legendary weapons that don't do crap against the final two bosses. Why? Why, Sega? And you know what? I don't even blame Sega for this. No, yeah, I do. I blame Sega. Anyway, I'm just rambling on and repeating my points. RPG's good. Going through long dungeons to get ultimate weapons that don't do crap against the final boss, bad. But whatever, I never made an RPG. At least not a full-length one. This is the 85th Arbitrary signing off. Try Phantasy Star. Fun game.